Welcome to another episode of the Cat Breeding for Beginners podcast. I'm Pamela and I breed British Shorthairs in Perth, Western Australia. I have a real passion for cat breeding and exhibiting, and I want to share my knowledge and experience with you. I'm on a mission to help new cat breeders go from feeling intimidated, confused and having trouble getting started to confidently breeding happy and healthy cats whilst enjoying this amazing hobby. Before we get started, make sure you visit my website and download your copy of my helpful guide, Advice to New Breeders, where experienced breeders share some great tips they wish someone told them when they started breeding. You can find the link on my homepage at www.catbreedingforbeginners.com. Just look for the picture of Angelica with her kittens. Well, the topic that I want to talk to you about is this is perfect timing to have this discussion with you because as I'm recording this, my new cat that's coming from Belgium and coming to Australia is currently, he's left Brussels. He was a little bit delayed because there was a bit of snow. He's made his way to Doha. He's waiting in Doha at the moment and he's about to get on a plane to travel to Melbourne here in Australia. He's about to do a 17-hour flight and that's in the hold of the plane. He's in a big carrier. I've seen photos. He's got a cozy blanket. He's really good. And in Doha, he's actually been out in a pen and he's had a little tray and something to eat. But he's about to get on the plane for 17 hours to make his way to Australia. And this has been an epic journey because when you import cats, which is what I want to talk to you about, when you're importing cats, it's a huge deal. Now, no matter where you are in the world, there's always going to be some sort of, rigmarole involved in getting a cat that's from another country. Some places it's pretty easy. I know that from Australia, we can send a cat to the US and you can just have it. There's no problem. But it is still crazy expensive for those flights. And there's probably some paperwork involved. I've never done it, so I don't actually know. But to get a cat into Australia, and I know I have a lot of people listening who are in Australia because I'm Australian, and it is a big deal. We have to do so much and jump through so many hoops to make this happen. So from the day that Toby was born, I knew that Toby was coming here. This breeder and I were waiting for him to be born. I had met his sister the year before, and I was waiting on this particular litter. So from the moment he was born, he was going to be my kitten. And then the waiting started from then because he then had to get to 12 weeks old. And at 12 weeks old, he could have his rabies vaccination. And then after the rabies vaccination, he had to have an ID check with his microchip before he had blood taken for a titer test. And we had to wait for the results of the titer test. And then from the results of the titer test is when you start the countdown. And the countdown is another 6 months. And you can imagine trying to find breeders that would be willing to keep a cat for that extra amount of time. They have to be able to keep the cat. They have to be able to keep the cat with, while it's an entire cat as well. So we're talking about an entire male cat. And not everybody's got the space and the ability to do that. So it's a big deal. And you'll have to pay extra for the keep of the cat. And I've been really lucky. The people that have had them for me have been very, very kind in the way that we've dealt with those situations. And they've been happy to take them to all the extra vet visits and do all of the things. But it is a big deal. It is a lot of moving parts. It is very nervous when you're trying to book them into the quarantine centre. And the quarantine centre says, your permit says that they can fly as of this date. But when you go to put them into the quarantine centre, they tell you that they're booked up for the next 3 months. It's just really stressful. It ended up being okay in the end. But, oh my God, all of these things, all of this, all of the amount of travel and the amount of money that you're going to spend. Now, to give you an idea of the money to bring a cat to Australia, just the quarantine alone is costing me several $1,000s. And I'm doing the shortest amount of time that he needs to do there, which is 10 days. Some people have to do 30 days, and I don't even want to know how much that costs. The flights themselves are thousands of dollars. So it adds up to a lot of money plus the cost of the cat. It adds up to a lot really quickly. And that's going to be the same in other countries as well. You might not have to pay for quarantine costs, but you might have to pay for permits. You might have to pay for flight. The actual trip itself is going to be expensive depending on where you are. So it all adds up to a lot of effort and a lot of money. And the point I wanted to talk to you about today is what I hear from a lot of people. Because people know that I'm importing a cat or they know that I actually have imports that I've got before. I get the question all the time, and I get this question from my newbies in my new cat breeders club, and It's just a really common thing that comes up for me. It's like, oh, I've seen this cat here and I'm thinking of getting it. Should I get it? I'm getting asked all the time, should I be getting an import? Or I hear from my people saying, yeah, I've got this cat and I'm hoping to import a cat next year. And I always ask the question, and I asked this of somebody the other day and I got a good answer, so I was happy about that. But I always ask the question, why? Why? Why do you want to import a cat? Because what I see happening is that people just get this idea that you're not a proper breeder unless you've imported a cat from somewhere else. You're not a proper breeder unless you have a few imports or imported lines, or your cats are from imported lines. I hear that a lot, and I hear people saying, I'm going to get an import next year, and I'll say, why? And they'll say, oh, just because I think that's a good idea. And that's really not a good enough answer, because it's, like I said, a lot of effort and a lot of money. And if you are going to be making that kind of investment, you need to have a really good reason to do it. If you look back at the cats that I've bought in from overseas, the ones that I've bought in from overseas have not been the best type cats that I can get. I can get really good type cats in Australia. I know breeders, I know other people, I know cats from judging them. I know where I would go if I tomorrow wanted to get myself a cat with a really good coat or a really good head or a really good eye or a really good tail. I know where I would go for those particular features, and it would be here in Australia. Some of them are even here locally where I live in Perth. I've been telling my friend Sarah for ages that I'm going to steal her cat's tails and staple them onto mine. But if I wanted those things I can get here. And the other thing is, for the amount of money that my imports are costing, I could probably get 3 cats. 3 for the price of 1. I could certainly get some matings too. And money does open doors. I'm not going to lie. If somebody has, if somebody has something that you want, sometimes you can name the price. You might say, well, look, I'd be willing to give you this amount of money, which might be half of what it costs to get you an import. You could get a mating. Sometimes I think that we don't explore these opportunities. You can get a mating from somebody else if you can convince them to let you use their cat. And sometimes money is going to help you do that. And in that regard, you could then maybe get yourself something that not only would you be maybe able to use an imported boy, but then you could have a full litter. Or maybe he's from an import, which is 2 generations forward from an import. And you get a full litter of kittens to choose from instead of just one that's coming over and costing you a fortune, and you just have to hope that it makes it through and that it can reproduce. All of those sort of, dramas can happen as well. So there are other opportunities rather than actually just going out and importing. So if I wanted certain things like type and that, I would just get them here in Australia. I'm not going overseas to get them. Or they may, I might, I don't know. I'm a bit competitive like that. A bit stupid sometimes too, I think. But the reason that I've imported the cats that I have imported, every single one of them carries the cinnamon gene. And I can get access to more cinnamon now in Australia than I ever could before. So that's not the reason that Toby's come over. But the cats that I've had previously has absolutely been the case, that the reason that I have brought them into Australia is because of the cinnamon gene. Jamaica came with cinnamon, and she also brought me back red. I didn't have the O gene in my cats since we had a Tortie girl right at the beginning, but we never bred from her, so we never had the red and cream. And I really was hoping to get that, and I got that with cinnamon from Jamaica, which is fantastic. And then I had crossed over my original lines from my first cinnamons that I got all the way back that I got from the UK, and was needing something that wasn't so related to them, and that's why Quimby came. And Quimby was just completely not related to anything I had ever, and was just he wasn't solid cinnamon, he was cinnamon bicolour, but he was a cinnamon cat, so every kitten that he had would be a cinnamon carrier. Same with Jamaica, everything would be a cinnamon carrier. So they gave me a really big jump in terms of being able to produce cinnamons. They were really nice type cats as well. Were they perfectly perfect cats? No, there was some issues with coat. There was maybe some issues with mainly coat, actually. Everything else I was pretty okay with, but I could get better coat here in Australia, so putting these ingredients into my recipe, if you like. So they were worthwhile because they had the thing that I needed, and the thing that I needed from them was some color genes. That's all I needed. If they had great type as well, that was fantastic. If their type wasn't perfect, I had things I could do to make it better. So they came over because of that, not because I just wanted an import, not because I wanted the status of having an import. Jamaica in particular comes from a very well-known cattery. They are very big on social media, lovely people. I'm very happy with having a cat from their particular cattery, but I didn't go there for that particular reason. And it sort of seems that way a little bit because I don't know, I think it would be something, when every time I tell people I have a Crystal Flames cat, I often have people say, oh, really? You've got one of them? Oh, wow. And I don't think of it like that. I think of, well, she was a tortie and she's a cinnamon tortie. That was what I got her for, not for her prefix. It's great that she has that great prefix, but, that wasn't the reason for it. So there always has to be a reason. There needs to be a purpose. This is a big deal to be able to do this. There needs to be a purpose. Why did I get Toby? Well, I saw Toby's sister when I was in Belgium, and then she was just reminded me so much of the first stud cat that I got, and the shape of the body and the behavior and the way they walked, and everything about it was like that. And that was a real big thing for me. So that made me really attracted to her. And then she actually is carrying a pattern that I wanted to have as well. So I don't have that. I have it in Quimby's side of things, but I don't have it in my other cats. So it's something that's really, really going to be good for my cinnamon breeding if I can get this this gene from Toby and the gene from Quimby and mix them together. So there was purpose there. And of course, carry cinnamon. So that goes without saying. There was purpose there, definitely purpose there. And this is a cat that I actually was in the unique position of meeting. I met his sister and then I met him last year as well. So that's a little bit unique as well. But I often have people in my new cat breeders club say to me, I'm thinking of getting this cat from overseas, or I'm thinking of importing this cat. I have people in the UK that are thinking of importing from Eastern Europe. I have people in America that are thinking of importing from the UK. I have people here in Australia thinking of importing from everywhere. And I always ask the same question, regardless of the breed. We have Maine Coon breeder asked me this today, actually. And my answer was, why? Why are you doing it? Tell me why you're doing it. And they came back and explained to me the reasons why they were doing it. And it made perfect sense. And I was very happy for them. And I said, I hope that you are able to get this cat. I hope it all works out okay. Let me know how you go. Very happy about it. But if the answer is just, because I want an import, then I just think don't. Just don't. Spend the money on something else. Spend the money on 3 cats here in your home country. Spend the money on a really good mating to a really good cat. Spend the money on sending your cat to another cat. Over here, if you wanted to use my boys, for example, and you were in the Eastern States, that's going to be quite expensive for you to send a cat here and back once it's mated. But it's going to be like, we could do that probably 10 times for the cost of what it would cost to do an import. So think of those other opportunities where you are before you go looking to get an import, because an import should never be a status symbol. It should never be a status symbol. And I see breeders bragging back, like hit left, right and center about it all the time. My import's this, my import's that, and I don't really think about it because I have imports, but I think of it as just being ingredients in the recipe that is me putting together the pedigrees of my cats. And they have bought something that I can't get locally. So it's, if you were making a cake and you couldn't get the vanilla bean in the country that you are, you've got to go and get vanilla bean that's imported from another country to make your cake, to make the recipe that you're making. You're mixing it in with the eggs that have come from the farm down the road. That's how I think about putting together a pedigree. And yeah, I think if you can't get what you want locally, yes, import. But if not, I don't know why you would. And I think as well, I'm not sure if you've been following, but my friend Charlotte, her cat arrived today actually, and my cat arrives tomorrow. Completely different breed. But Charlotte's reasons for getting her cat are to do with type, and she is chasing after a particular look, and she can't get that look in the recipe that she's putting together because she doesn't have those ingredients of that particular ear shape that she wants. The cat that she's bringing in, his ear shape might not even be what she's after, but she wants a modified version of that, and she can't get the modified version of it unless she goes for an extreme version to bring it in as an ingredient. Which, again, going back to this recipe idea, but it's about, that vanilla bean that she's bringing in is a really, really strong vanilla bean, so that when she mixes it into all of the things that she's doing, she'll get a milder version of it in what she's doing. So she's really given it good thought as well, because again, it's the same amount of money for her as it's been for me. It's the same amount of time it's been for her as it's been for me. Crazy. She met her cat over in France as well, so she's very happy and knows what she's getting too. We are very lucky like that, but it is a lot of money to bring in a cat like that, and it's a lot of effort, and she's done it for the right reasons as well. She hasn't done it so that she can walk around bragging that she has an import or have an import. She's done it because she wants something in particular, and it's just her thing that she's bought in is ears. The rest of the cat had to come with them, but she was doing it just basically mainly for the ears. Anyway, so I'm starting to ramble on about imports now, but the thing I wanted to tell you more than anything else is before you even consider asking that breeder that you've seen that nice cat overseas and you think you might like to adopt it or have one of their kittens, before you even get to that point, I want you to ask yourself really seriously, why? And I want you to be honest with yourself as well and not make up stories like I think I might have done once or twice. But be honest with yourself and be clear about why you're doing it, because it's a big effort for you, it's a big effort for the breeder, and it is a big effort for the cat as well. My cat is about to get on a 17-hour flight to get here. That is a huge deal. That is a huge deal. And I'm just amazingly grateful, amazed at how grateful I am to his breeder for just letting that happen. And I know he's going to be all right because I've met this cat and he's very happy-go-lucky, and I know he's going to be just fine. And I know that when I get him, I'm going to be happy because I've already met him. So that's another thing as well. Sometimes you see photos and videos are never going to give you the true feel and touch of that cat when you get them. So that's another thing as well about importing. You could be disappointed when the cat arrives, which would be a really sad thing, because you just want to love them. And I know I'm going to love Toby because I've already met him and I adored him when I met him. So I'm really excited. I have to wait another 10 days, actually it'll be 11 days because it's happening tomorrow that he'll arrive. So in 11 days time, I will have Toby, and depending on when you're listening to this, I'm sure I'll have him by then. And I'm hoping to show him. I'm hoping to have beautiful kittens from him. And I'm really hoping that I can mix that pattern that he's bringing into my recipe so that I can meet my, work towards my overall goal, which has always been to breed a show quality, show winning, rosette trophy gaining cinnamon or fawn. So fingers crossed that's going to be what I'm going to get from all of this, because it has been a journey, let me tell you. All right, and if you have any questions you want to ask about the importation process, I'll probably do some more posts and things on it, more posts as the cat arrives and as I show him, and I'm sure there's going to be more podcasts about it. But if you have any questions about it, pop over to my Facebook page. Make sure you hit like to follow the page, and then you can send me any messages there and ask me any questions that you might have. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye for now. Thanks for listening. Make sure you visit www.catbreedingforbeginners.com, where you can find articles, guides, courses and more. Plus, make sure you check out my amazing New Cat Breeders Club. It's a supportive space where new cat breeders can learn, share and help each other. I only take new members a few times a year, so sign up to make sure you don't miss out.